All right. Welcome, welcome. We are back again for episode 3 of Under the Radar, where we review the lesser watched but nonetheless important shows: AEW Dark Elevation, MLW, BTE, and Impact Wrestling. I think we'll probably start with MLW as we normally do. So I'll go ahead and chat about that with you guys for a second. Um, First off, if you're new, listening for the first time, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Um, please hit that notification button so you can stay tuned for all of our content. Yesterday's MLW was another Super Series episode. It was actually a pretty missable episode. The only thing of consequence was actually nothing. Honestly, there really wasn't much of consequence. It opened with a little recap of EJ and Duca and Hammerstone going at it last week. They had a match between Star Rogers and Cosmos, two guys I've never heard of. Star Rogers got the win. The main event was Davey Richards versus Kenta for the national openweight title. It was a good match. You know, Eddie Edwards is a good wrestler. Both guys are actually really good. It's the first time I've ever seen SB Kento. He's from Dragon Gate. Davey Richard retained. I would say that the biggest thing coming out of MLW this week was that Cesar Durant has been removed as matchmaker per Court Bauer. This was actually a fairly disappointing episode of MLW. I feel like since it came back for its new season, it takes a hiatus, like, I don't know, September or so for a month or two. And then it comes back. So it just came back like a month ago or so. It's been very down. So hopefully it will pick back up. There is Blood and Guts, January 7th, which should be a good show. The card is fairly stacked for MLW. It looks like Hammerstone will be defending against EJ and Duca at that pay-per-view. Well, I don't know if it's going to be a pay-per-view, but it's a super show. So that is MLW in about 3 minutes. So bring back in CM and we can proceed on.
That sounds much like the rest of the shows this week.
Yeah, this week was a little disappointing. I figured this show's probably going to go quick because there wasn't a whole lot to talk about.
Yes, the holiday break is among us.
I was just going to say, it must be December.
It's gotta. Okay, so we have Dark Elevation. Came on Monday. So Dark and Dark Elevation both had 5 matches apiece, and I loved it. It was amazing. What I didn't love is on Dark Elevation, the first 2 matches were like done in less than a minute and a half or so.
Yeah, I mean, at least Danny B got a move or two of offense in against Emmy, unlike the tag team against Daddy Magic and Angelo. But they didn't even take their jacket. What they do, they did one move and it was over.
I literally blinked. I blinked and I turned my head. I turned my head back, and it's a pin, and I'm like, "Oh, that's weird."
Right?
And then it was done.
And then it was done. I mean,
And
Emmy looked good. I thought she looked good in winning.
of course,
Parker and 2.0 didn't do anything, so to say they looked good in winning, I guess it is what it is. I mean, they didn't really do anything. For me, the best match. I mean, Willow looked good, but that match wasn't even super. She won pretty easy, and honestly, like, then the JAS came out and attacked her, and not super. I mean, I don't know. The JAS gets a lot of time, and they get pushed. So I guess Willow being in the mix with them is somewhat okay, but that's not really where I want to see her. I was a little disappointed when I saw that they ran out, and it looks like this is the booking for her, but. Again, the JAS is at least a big name, so at least she's in a feud with some decent named women, some big name women.
I mean, who else is there really? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I
nobody
mean, I guess.
after Jade or going after Jamie. So, like,
I,
I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I, I,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on where Tony sees her. If he sees her as Ring of Honor, then why she's not wrestling Athena or Mercedes Martinez, or you know what I'm saying? But I guess if she's going to be an AEW mid carder and eventually work her way up with some wins to maybe TNT, the TBS title, I guess, or something when Jade gives it up, or even the WrestleGate at some point, then I guess Ty Mello and Anna Jay are as good of, a feud
I'm
as
just thinking, like, for Ring of Honor, if Willow is signed to Ring of Honor, it's her, Minerva, Mercedes, and Maria. So, like, four women, I can kind of see why he pushed her to that and the whole JS. I think it might be better for Anna Jay and Ty Mello to go to Ring of Honor and have matches rather than
yeah.
AEW, because I'll be quite honest, I don't see either of them as either champ right now. And I honestly think out of all the matches, the Willow and Vert Vixen match was the best because it was the least interesting. It went on for a relatively decent amount of time. Willow got in a lot of interesting like time, but everything else on the show sucked.
It
Um,
did. It really did.
Ari Davari or Aria Davari, I can never
Right?
remember him coming out by without the trust busters. It's just like, so your trust fund, but you don't have your trust busters. And then speaking on trust busters, we see them on AW Dark, and they just, oh god, it's bad. I don't know what can be done to fix this faction because I actually had hope.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything that can be done to fix this faction. And clearly, Tony likes them for whatever reason because they're on all the time. So them and the factory are on all the time. Yeah, I mean, at least Brandon Cutler was on Dark Elevation. He's always fun in the main event. I mean, he was jumping around doing his thing. I mean, at least I laughed a little bit watching him. But yeah, Dark Elevation was definitely missable. Dark was missable. I mean, I
The Eddie match. Speaking of Dark, AEW Dark, um, yeah, Dark Elevation missable. Apparently, MLW missable. Dark also missable, but the Eddie Kingston, Ortiz versus the Trustbusters, and I will also say Kip Sabian versus Tony Deppen
I was
match.
gonna say, yeah,
Both
that
were.
was the one I had.
I see old Ortiz. He's just like, oh my god, Eddie, you stress me out. But I don't care about these dudes. So beat them up if you want to. Just let me be. I feel like I feel like this is gonna sound so weird, but like Ortiz is in the back, and you know how like Mox has his whole little family because you know him and Renee never get to take a day off.
Right.
Um, so he's holding the baby, and they just sitting there looking at everybody like, why are we the same ones? Eddie's arguing, Mox is bleeding, like trying to get a good interview from Brett. Yeah, it's just a hot mess.
It is a hot mess. Yeah, no, those were definitely the two best matches, and I thought Kip Sabian, and Tony Deppen was better just because I think that the Trustbusters are garbage. So, I mean, like you said, I kind of had high hopes for them. Not high hopes, but I had more. I guess I was
You had
hoping for
hope.
more from them. I had a little
You
bit of
had
hope.
hope. That's
But
what it
Kip
was.
and Tony, I thought was good. I thought that Kip started really hot. It took Tony a little bit to get warmed up, but once he did, the match got going, and for me, it was the best match of the night. I like Tony Deppen. I wish he would get a little bit more of a push. And Kip looked really good in his little comeback. So
I like him. I think he's growing. I think he and Penelope have a really strong future. I think what ended up messing them up is the injuries, the Jimmy Havoc thing, and then when they first came in, that whole kind of playing into the Joey Janela thing that derailed them. But now I think I see them getting back on track. But for Dark, honestly, just watch the Tony Depp and Kip Sabian match and Eddie and Ortiz versus Trustbusters match. Um, I I like the Trustbusters. I really just I want it to be something more.
yeah, I mean, they have the potential. I mean, Slim J, I don't really think does, but I like Ari Davari. I mean, I liked him when he was in WWE. I liked his brother too. I think they both, and him especially, has some talent and some skill. I think Parker Boudreaux has a bright future. At least it looks like it. He looks the part. I mean, Slim J's the one that's kind of out of place, and I don't know about Jeeves,
I
but
need for you to look up Slim J and his history because if you see that, you kind of understand why. He is very much that good hand role. Like
no,
you
I've
can
seen him wrestle. I
see
mean, I'm a
some more
little
stuff.
familiar. I've seen some of his other independent stuff, some of his older stuff. I just think I'm not sure. He's a good wrestler. I just think he feels a little out of place. He feels like the low man on the totem pole, even in the Trustbusters. So I don't
Damn.
know. I mean, I don't know. It seems like they would have to get maybe another bigger name guy to join the stable if they really ever want to push it.
Like if they worked with MJF, it would work because like MJF could use Aria Davari for his money. And so MJF doesn't have to spend his. They're disposable goons, but they're so loyal because they get paid decent money. Boom.
Yeah, he could use Parker like he used Wardlow for muscle.
And like you could train up Parker to be your board though.
Yeah. And MJF always likes to put his competition through the ringer and make him jump hurdles, so they just have to wrestle Slim J and G's before they get a match with
Well, don't
MJF.
forget don't forget Sunny because Sunny is actually pretty talented.
That's true. No, I like Sonny. I just he hasn't been on in a while. I almost forgot that he was with them until you said that. But yeah, you're right. I like Sonny Kiss. In fact, he's probably my favorite of the whole bunch. But yeah, he hasn't. He's been MIA for a minute now. At least it seems like
Yeah.
he comes and goes. Seems like he comes and goes. It's like he's here for a couple weeks and then he's gone for like a month and
But,
then he's back.
but Sunny did graduate recently, so congrats to Sunny on that. I think it actually might have been last year. I don't know. The year has gone so weird. But okay, so three shows so far are missable. Um, I guess we should talk about Impact now.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, big things from this show was Tommy Dreamer realized Bully Ray ain't shit and won't ever be shit um, to the highest levels.
Are we gonna get a Tommy versus Bully match? Can Tommy wrestle at all? I mean,
Yeah,
like
why would we?
I don't know. I don't know because I know he's been injured a lot, and I just don't know like what state he's in. So I guess maybe. But
He
yeah,
was,
no, I mean,
he was injured when in ECW. He's alright. Um, let's see. Jonathan Gresham
yep.
came back. That was cool.
Jonathan Gresham is now in Impact.
I
Uh,
like what I see on the horizon.
yeah. I thought the little Mike Bailey, Kenny King back and forth was kind of funny. Mike Bailey is still a bad promo.
Always, however, before we forget, Eddie Edwards versus Delirious. I liked it.
Hmm.
I Delirious is weirdly cool to me. I
He is.
don't know. Like I feel like I shouldn't like him, but like I can't help but to like him.
No, he's likable. You should check him out. He's got some older stuff too. Like if you YouTube him, you can find some other stuff. He's fun to watch.
Oh,
He's very
I've
fun.
seen some of it, but it's just like you know those wrestlers that you're just like, I feel like I really shouldn't like you, but I do.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. It seems like maybe he's the heel because Eddie's, I guess, a face, but and he kind of has that kind of heelish attitude a little bit. But I mean, maybe there wasn't a heel or a
Did you
face.
see what Eddie Edwards did?
I know, but
He's not a fish. Um, let's
no,
see
that
what else.
match was good. That match was good.
It was.
That match opened the show. And then
Let's
I thought Alan Angels versus Sammy was okay. I mean, I was happy to see. Oh, sorry, Angels. I was happy to see Angels. I don't like Sammy Callahan, but I was happy to see Angels wrestle. I don't. The jury's still out on me for him being with the design, as the jury's still out on the design for me. I think Diener looks the part and is doing okay so far. We'll just have to wait and see if Angels fits or not. It feels like he might be a little out of place, but we'll have to see. But I thought he looked good, at least in the ring against Sammy. I
I
enjoyed watching
like
him.
Alan Angels. The only thing that Sammy Vog like ended up giving me was Alan Angels in full personality and Marco Stunt doing Marco Stunt type shit. That is what Sammy's Vlog gave me. However, Alan Angels, he should have been my breakout star. Well, he probably will be for 2023 as long as he keeps staying the course. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
not
think in Violent by Design is so good. I think that it's going to work out pretty well. I think that this is going to be one of those things that when we look back, it's going to be like a pivotal turning point. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I say watch it. I don't like Sammy Callahan. I don't like his wife, but I enjoyed him getting beat the fuck up. So you can watch
yep.
it too.
We had a Joe Hendry sighting. I believe in Joe Hendry.
You can't help but do it. I was going to skip over this because while I believe in Joe Henry, I do not like this whole moose thing. I need it to stop immediately because yeah,
Interesting. I kind of like the Moose thing. I mean, I like Moose, and so I
the
mean,
one
I
thing
think
this week was just ugh.
I still think Moose. I don't. It's hard to say Moose still needs more work because he's been around for like ever now. It seems like, but he still needs a little more work. There's still times he looks a little rough and clunky in the ring, but I like him in general. In general, I mean, and so I'm kind of here for Moose and Hendry. I mean, to see at least what it is. What I didn't realize is Zicky Dice looks way different than he did in MLW, or not MLW, but NWA. I was like, Zicky. I had to look at the screen like 3 times. They kept saying his name. I'm like, that's Zicky. Like, I like the old Zicky better. Like, I'm not a big fan of the new Zicky look. So I was a little disappointed by that. But yeah, I mean, we could skip over that. Macklin had a whatever promo. And then we got to the main event, which is really the only thing that stood out on the show, the only really worth and the only important thing to really mention.
Motor
That
City
the,
Machine Guys are
that's right.
surprisingly you're just your 3-time champions.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yep. Which makes me
I
happy. I
think
mean,
more.
I I hate Heath, and I'm on Rhino, so I'm glad to see them no longer with the titles. I love the Motor City Machine Guns, so I couldn't be happier. There's not a tag team in Impact that I would rather see with the titles, so I'm extremely
Very
happy at
true.
the moment. I'm extremely
I
happy.
I think it was smart to give Motor City Machine Guns the belts. I think that it opens up a whole lot of other doors. I
I
think
agree.
that I don't know where Rhino necessarily goes from here. I like Heath. And I also kind of like Rhino for the most part. I just feel like he might have said something racist. I don't know. It's a feeling I get.
It's a
Um,
feeling I get.
just you know how
If he
you
hasn't yet, he's going to.
like they ain't caught you yet, have they, Terry? They ain't caught you. Um, I like the match. I think that it's good. However, it just didn't top the last week's 1 hour match. So
Oh no, definitely not. No, and when you consider like that we had that match last week and then we had this episode this week, it feels like a big disconnect. I mean, to be fair, last week's episode wasn't great, but that match was so good that it's
I
like
think
such a roller coaster sometimes for Impact. It's like we're so high and then we kind of now we're low. This was a low week.
I think they were just like, you know what, we're tired. So
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I guess my question is, what other tag teams are even in Impact for the Motor City Machine Guns to feud with now?
the decay,
Yeah, I guess
major
that's true.
players.
The
Heath and Ryan if
design.
they want to, the design, and there's
Yeah.
various iterations of
I
that.
assume it's going to be the major players will be their first feud.
Um, Bullet Club. Um, those are all the ones off the top of my head. I feel
Yeah.
like there's more, but you know, also with Impact, they have it basically so folks can kind of just like float in, float out. It's very indies.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
No
Um,
doubt.
anything else that you have for this show?
Nope. I do not. It's time for CM on a BTE.
One of these days I'll get on BTE. Um, this week's episode was not much of like anything. Um, you had, of course, your usual Ryan Nemeth deal. The episode was titled "In and Out" or "Whataburger," and the whole debate rages. I haven't eaten either. I don't eat beef, so probably won't eat either. Um, so that was pretty cool. However, the part that was like the most interesting was they had like this really, really, really heavy weight. I don't know how heavy it was because they didn't say, but it was really heavy. So you kind of hear Mark Henry in the background coaching these guys on how to lift this weight because I'm assuming he had to lift it for the world's strongest man competition. Um, and he was like, don't put your thumb like here, like yeah, pull your thumb back like this. And it was really interesting to kind of hear him coaching folks. The three people who moved it, it was it three? Yes, because Brody King moved it a little bit. Um, you had Satnam Singh who lifted it, and he got it. So the bar was here, and he got it up about like right here. Wardlow got it, and he just kind of moved it. It really wasn't a lot. However, Nick Camarado from the factory lifted it up like pretty good squat there that he did. It was cool to see, and it was also really nice to kind of see again the background, which we haven't seen too many people interacting with the Young Bucks and Kenny in the past few episodes. Like you've had like different segments with people, but it was really cool to watch people interact backstage and just see the camaraderie, which is something that a lot of these vlogs had very early on. They had that really cool camaraderie. You kind of got to see behind the scenes, like people's like who they really were. So I really enjoyed that part. Um, but yeah, it's another kind of missable situation. However, funny part was the Young Bucks put in their new contract that they wanted statues of themselves in the, I guess, the cafeteria where people would come in and just throw money at them as they came to eat. But Brandon Cutler also said, and they got two stand-ins that are available 24/7. So Brandon Cutler came and was like, "Hey, I got like a really good idea. I've got like a year's worth of plans, and it involves him becoming the most over person in AEW, getting a lot of promos, becoming a movie star, having a bunch of women falling over him or whatever." And as he was talking, they called their stand-ins in, and it's just like the stand-ins were just like, "No, no, no, it's not gonna work out for you." So that was pretty cool. That actually is like the summary of it. However, let me see. I have to pull this up because I remember saying it before the really funny episode where we had the whole Vanguard one situation. It is the episode is entitled Stadium Stampede. It's being the Elite episode 205. Go out of your way to watch that one. It is pretty funny. Um, I loved it. Let me see if I can quickly find the one. Also, if you didn't know, Full Gear, the whole name and why it's named that, began on BTE. Basically, they were saying Hangman was getting a little pudgy there. Um, yeah, basically all the BTEs from this year, go back and watch them because when they have the seance summoning Adam Cole, prime BTE time. And then the episode after when Adam Cole pops up, he's like, "What happened?" And he's been away for like 3 years, and he thinks ROH is still like a thing. It's hilarious. Go out and be like watch that one. But this episode, not so much. So that is our wrap up of AEW Dark, AEW Dark Elevation, MLW, and Impact. Um, trying to see. Are you gonna pop up here with me to wrap it up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this week was kind of a filler, skippable week. I'm assuming next week will be too because of the holidays. It will probably, hopefully, pick back up in January. Because if not, oh god, it's gonna be like watching Raw, but
Right.
less hours.
All this, you know what's funny is that all these shows together still total less than one episode. Even with Impact being 2 hours. Uh,
It's sad. It just
right?
seems like all never ends.
It does. It does seem like that. All
All
right.
right,
You want to
but
take us
that's
out?
us. Yes, you can find us live on Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, for the for our cookout podcast. We are still giving out our horse seats until around the end of the month. Go back, watch our past shows. We love to see it for you. We are also live on Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for AEW Rampage. You are going to see this dropping on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Come hang out with us on Facebook. You've already are watching us on YouTube, and come follow us on Twitter. We are engaging. We're fun. We're pretty chill. So yeah. Okay, I did pop off a little bit the other day about the whole Mandy Rose thing because again, monitor the pussy that you can get, not the ones that you can't. Um, WWE wouldn't have known if it hadn't gotten leaked. So
Good
somebody
for
was
her though for saying fuck WWE. I'm gonna keep doing my own thing,
shit. If I was getting paid that much,
even if it is porn.
250K a month.
Yeah. Hey.
Fuck this shit. This is my fun money. I don't need
Uh,
shit. All right.
uh,
We will catch you all later. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good week. Stay safe, stay warm, stay positive. Peace.
peace.